Asa, what's up?
What's up?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Just
Nice. Nice. Well, super excited to have you here on the podcast. Really excited for this conversation because you approach marketing different than any marketing person I have ever met. And so excited for you to just share some of your wisdom for us to, go through that and talk about ways that businesses really should be looking at their marketing. I mean, it's one of the biggest areas that I see people waste the most money in their business is stepping into marketing. And so excited to hear, how people can avoid doing that and invest in a smart way. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about you and how you got into this.
yeah. So my name's Asa Naselli. I am an owner and partner of Shipwright Consulting Group. We are a marketing slash sales consulting firm that really focuses in on what we would like to say all marketing teams should focus in on, which is your bottom line, right? And how much you're actually taking home. What does your bank account say? And so how I got into it, I started at a small agency, uh, local agency, and I started learning a ton. Um, it was September of 2022 that I stumbled across an amazing company at the time, Solutions 8. And I just started consuming a ton of information online from Solutions 8 and then Tier 11 and then perpetual traffic after that. So shout out to those guys. They actually were approaching marketing in a way I had never heard of before. And they were tying everything back to your P&L, right? They were tying all of your marketing expenses, all of your sales expenses, all of these things that play into really driving a business to grow back into what does your bottom line say? What does your bank account actually say? Because
Yeah.
there's so many metrics that people throw out there to honestly just to confuse the business owner and make them think that things are going well, um,
Yeah.
that don't actually mean anything. And so
Yep.
hearing this for the first time in 2022, I was really mind blown. And I started implementing it with my clients, and we saw clients grow. I mean, as much as building a $63 million pipeline, opportunity pipeline, for one of our
Yeah.
companies.
Yeah. Dang. And so why do I guess explain a little bit more like how do you tie marketing back to a
Yeah.
P&L and to the bank account and
Yeah.
how do you approach it in that way?
Yeah. One of my favorite sayings to tell my customers is if I drink 8 beers, which one got me drunk? Right. If I never drank the first one, then it would be 7 beers, right? If I never drank
Sure.
the eighth one, would I really be drunk, right? There is so much going on in marketing that it can't be just siloed, right? You can't just have your Google ads here and these are your Google ads returns, and this is all this nice, pretty attribution thing.
Yeah.
Because you're also running Meta over here, and Meta's not going to be its nice little silo. So what has to happen is we have to understand what part of the business each of these channels play. If Google Ads is meant to be the closer, that's what we find people really like to buy through, then we're going to use that as our bottom of the funnel. And we're going to collect new traffic through Meta, right? Or through whatever other channel, email
Right.
marketing, SMS or, whatever it is. But you have to know why you're doing what you're doing, and you have to know what part of the puzzle it plays. Because your marketing, your sales, everything in your business should work cohesively. Oftentimes, people pit them against each other. So, for instance, I had a kind of an essential oils type company that I was working with, and they were down 20% in their bottom line year over year in Q1 of 23, I believe. And they were trying to close everybody on Google and then retarget those closed customers on Meta. And that was
Mm,
just their strategy, which,
sure.
as you can imagine, you're trying to re-close somebody who already closed. It doesn't work
Yeah.
too well, right? Not for new customer acquisition. So
Yeah.
I came in there and I told them, hey, look, your Google Ads platform is going to tell you really horrible metrics. Your ROAS, right? Your return on ad spend inside of the platform of Google Ads is going to drop insanely. but
Yeah.
your bottom line is going to grow. And this is why we're going to use Google Ads as a cold traffic acquisition channel, and they're going to be sent over to Meta, who's going to retarget that cold traffic, right? And so it typically takes, I think the statistic is it takes 20 touches to sell a candy bar and 500 touches to sell an airline ticket, right? So it takes multiple touches is the point to actually close somebody. We dropped our ROAS inside of Google from, I think we're at like 3.8 or something like that on Google. We dropped
Yeah.
it down to 0.03, which at first was terrifying for everyone because they're like, you just
Yeah.
tanked the business. But then in the next quarter, we were up 20%. So we had made up 20% and added an additional 20% to our bottom line because we knew
So
why
the
we were
bottom
doing what
line
we were
was up
doing. Yeah.
20%. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. But not just the ROAS, but the
Not
bottom
just the
line.
ROAS, the bottom line. And
Wow.
so with that, it's like, oh my goodness, what happened? Well, we knew why we were doing what we were doing, and we had them playing together, not pitted against each other, right? So the social
Mm,
team was not just doing their own thing over here, and the Google team wasn't doing the thing over here. We were all
yeah.
working together to achieve one goal, right? So that is one of the biggest things in understanding why or how to measure through your P&L marketing efforts. The trick is, I don't know if you caught it, but if we looked at an attribution report, it would look like Google Ads was wasting money. But in
Yeah.
reality, we were funneling them. It, we weren't supposed to make a return on Google, right? That wasn't the point. The point was that they were going to close on Meta. Most companies would look at that and say, wow, Meta's doing really good. Let's double down on Meta and drop
Mm,
Google.
sure.
And all of a sudden your funnel dries up. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
shoot. Well, what do we do now? Right. And then you're in the same situation you were before we started.
Yeah. Yeah. So there has to be some intentionality
There
behind
has to be any
the different
intentionality.
efforts.
You have to have intentionality. You're
Yeah.
not just throwing spaghetti against the wall.
Yeah. How could somebody recognize today if they're looking at their P&L or their marketing report from their firm if it's working or not? I know when I've worked with firms in the past and received a report, it kind of just seems like a mystery. Maybe it
Hmm.
seems like it's working. Um, you know, they seem excited about it, but it's just kind of a mystery to me as to whether this is something that's tangible or not.
Yeah.
How can, the average person today look at their reports or their financial statements and
Yeah.
understand if marketing's working for them?
There's a big, beautiful metric called media efficiency ratio. And
Okay.
that measures your bottom line growth. It's all ad spend out versus all revenue in. So it doesn't matter if that revenue was attributed to Google Ads or Meta or Amazon, whatever you're running. It doesn't matter if
Yeah.
it was attributed there. What matters is, did I bring in more revenue than I spent? And that's where we start, right? If the answer is yes, okay, let's take rid of all the repeat referral, all the people that we know we've worked with before. What is our new revenue in versus all revenue out? Are we
Yep.
still above? Awesome. Let's take a look at our NCAC. What is our new cost per acquired customer? Okay, it's $500 or whatever. All right, so we
Yeah.
know we have $500 per new customer, and we're making more on new customers than we're spending. All right, what's the LTV on those customers? 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, whatever it is. Um, do we have uh, growth over time, right? Uh, when we start looking at it this way, we can start coming up with ideas of, oh, we're actually not getting any LTV. Maybe we should start up follow-up campaigns with our emails. Maybe we should do SMS. Maybe we should do whatever, right? Um, if we look at that at the business like that, then it's easy when we make a small change to our marketing. We say, hey, this is the strategy for Q2. We're going to make this little change and we're going to see how it impacts. And then
Yeah.
we're not making any other crazy changes. We're just making one change, right? Uh,
Wow.
then we can measure did that change increase or decrease? And obviously, you have to take into consideration the economy, you have to take into consideration other factors.
Right.
But typically, you can see one little change makes a huge impact or a huge impact, right? It's either
Yeah.
going to be good or bad. With your new customer acquisition, it's super important because if your marketing is not focused on new customers, you're going to get confused with all your metrics. But if your aim is to grow your new customers, then you can look at your marketing efforts and say, did our new customer revenue go up? Did it go down? Right,
Yeah.
overall. Forget attribution. It's a lie. It's misleading. All of it is wrong because every piece of attribution is trying to uh, take credit, whether it's last click, first click, data driven, whatever it is. It's all trying to
Yeah.
take credit for those. Um, but to answer your question, you have to understand why you're doing what you're doing, your new customer acquisition costs, your LTV, your MER, and then make little changes at a time. Don't go in changing everything at once because you won't know what worked. So,
Yeah. And when you're calculating that media efficiency ratio, so
yeah,
you're factoring in everything from the personnel to
yeah,
if you're doing paid ads, the paid ads to the social media,
yeah,
all costs related to anything advertising or marketing.
yeah.
And then
So,
what's my
so
return of new clients?
yeah, you could break it down NMER, MER, right? Just so you can see the disparity between repeat and referral versus, new customers only, right?
Yeah.
I personally, for my business, the way I do it, I take all my marketing expenses and all my sales expense, and I add those two up as my marketing costs, right?
Yeah.
Because they're intrinsically tied. You can't
Yeah.
separate sales and marketing. As much as sales and marketing would like to be separated, you can't. They're dependent
Sure.
on one another. So
Yeah.
I take those costs and I look at all my revenue coming in. What's my revenue coming in from new customers? What's my revenue coming in from repeats and referrals? I can see the disparity and I can see how much money does it actually cost me to bring in one new deal, you know. So
Yeah.
that's how I would look at it.
And so that's when you would then tie that back to your P&L
Yes,
and understand, hey, but does my gross profit on my product or service justify what it costs right now in the media that I'm spending on?
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And everything becomes so clear at that point. The issue is people have been so inundated with marketing agencies that are less than ideal
Yeah.
into believing lies like uh, ROAS in the platform is what defines success. I can
Yeah.
promise any company I can raise your ROAS by 10,000%. What I'll do is I'll lower your budget, I'll increase your brand keywords. So I'll only be going after repeats and referrals, and I'll lower your spend, and it'll cost me pennies to do it. And I can get you $1 million for $100 because there are people who are already looking for your product. That's not going to
Right.
grow your business, though. That's going to put it under in about 2 years, right? Because you're not going to have any new business.
Right.
So it's important not to believe the in-app platform metrics because it's only one part of the story. I'm not saying they're bad metrics, they're helpful, but they're not always right. So,
Yeah. And so what people should be doing is, pushing on their professionals that they might be working with
yeah,
to include some of these other metrics, such as
yes,
MER, the media efficiency ratio, the lifetime value of the client, those type
yeah,
of things.
yeah. Because the other aspect of this is what if you're spending $400 to acquire one customer that pays you $14? Is that bad or good? Sometimes it can be bad, and sometimes it can be good. It depends on your LTV. If I know that I'm spending $400 to get one client that's going to pay me, $14 the first time,
Yeah.
but I know in the next month he's going to pay me, 9,000, right? That's a
Yeah.
real case study, by the way, of a duct tape company. They came out with
Mm,
their own patented duct tape. Cost them $400 to bring one new customer through the door. They had
yeah.
just bought one roll, but their duct tape was so good that the company would come back and bulk buy the next month. Right.
Wow.
And so it was like any typical marketing team would be like, oh man, we just lost a bunch of money. What are we gonna do? All
Right.
right, let's turn up brand, or a
Right.
fancy way of saying brand that sometimes sneaky marketing agencies will do, this say trademark campaign. Um,
Okay.
so but that's not looking at the whole picture, and they'll tank a business doing that because they're trying to save face rather
Yeah.
than facing the fact that, hey, it looks bad right now, but there's more at play here than just your Google ads, and
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting. And so if you're, a service-based company who maybe you're keeping, like our firm, maybe we're working with clients over the course of 5, 6, 7 years.
Hmm.
Uh, Really a pretty high cost of acquisition for a client
Yeah.
isn't really that big of a deal
Yeah.
given the lifetime value that we might have.
Yeah. It's important for I'm gonna throw one more metric at you. It's
Do it.
important for you to know your CAC payback time. So
CAC
maybe you
payback
spend
time.
$1,500 getting one client that's going to pay you $500 a month or whatever it is.
Right.
Well, it's going to take 3 months for you to recoup your CAC, and then after 3 months, you're making money, right?
Yeah.
You have to know your CAC payback time. If it's
Yeah.
a lifetime like service-based business where you're month over month over month.
Right. One thing that would seem challenging to me for some people, maybe specifically in the service-based space, is really calculating some of these metrics
Mhm.
around how much does it cost, especially if they're spending majority of their time or money nurturing different, key referral partnerships
Mhm.
or sponsorships, those type of things. It would seem like it would be hard to, really calculate that, especially since some of those might not pay off for years.
Yeah.
Uh, what advice would you have for somebody in that situation of like, how should they be thinking about their media efficiency ratio, given that it could be a long payback time before
Yeah.
they really recognize anything?
More targeted acquisition. Um, Whoever can pay the most to acquire a lead is going to win. I'm sorry, not a lead. Whoever can pay the most to acquire a customer is going to win. Um, because if you can pay more than your competitors, you're going to get better leads. You're going to get better, quality customers. The people who are the most difficult to work with are the people paying you, $200 a month that are like, what's going on with this? What's going on with this?
Right.
They're frantic. They were already cheap to begin with, and so every dollar to them is like, what's happening?
Right.
But the companies that are like, yeah, I'll pay you 10,000 a month. It's like those guys are so chill because they understand what they're paying for, right? And they're
Right.
not 10,000 wasn't a big deal for them in the beginning, right? Um,
Right.
so they're not as frantic. Now, if you are not able to pay, let's use an example of it takes you $1,500 to acquire one new customer. If that $1,500 is too much for you, go start knocking on doors, right? How much is your time worth? Uh, can you dedicate 3 days a week to go knock on businesses' doors? Or can you dedicate, $1,500? Would you make that $1,500 anyways, like during that time to
Yeah.
go acquire a lead, right? Or a customer? You have to rewire your brain from thinking, oh my gosh, I can't afford $1,500, and think
Yeah.
about what happens if I don't spend this money to acquire this customer. It may
Yeah.
hurt short term, but if I can squeeze my belt enough to make it happen in 3 months, we'll be making an extra $1,500 a month. And
Yeah.
you as a business owner have to come down to the place where you're like, I know my profit margins, I know all this, right? And the supply and demand plays into this as well. But understanding and having an honest conversation with yourself, your partners, your board, whatever it is, of what can we afford? Like not just like what's the least, because everybody's gonna say, oh, I want to spend $1 on a customer. It's like, realistically, do you really want to do that if it just brings
Yeah.
you a bunch of crappy customers? Or Do you want to spend money on quality, long-term partnerships where they've invested in you enough to say, we're not just going to switch yet, right? We're going to actually see
Right.
this through. We're going to, give them a chance. And so the guy who's paying you, $200 a month, who's saying like, I can just pay somebody else $200 a month, you know.
Yeah.
So, and then supply and demand comes into play where it's like, maybe you need to raise your prices because you have too many people knocking on your door. You have too many customers to begin with, and you're not getting paid enough, so you can't afford $1,500. Maybe you need to free up some capacity by upselling and
Yeah.
raising prices so that you can cut fat that is not going to go anywhere anyways, right?
Yeah.
I've seen it as much as 60% of clients cut from an agency, only dipping 16% in revenue,
Mm.
and
Wow.
increasing profitability by 300%, right?
Wow.
Positive.
Yeah.
So that I've seen that.
Yeah.
That is how you have to look at it. Is I don't want to just make a bunch of money, right? I don't want to just make a bunch of revenue. I want to be profitable, right? I want to
Yeah.
actually take something home at the end of the day. I want my bank account to look nice. Maybe that's cutting employees. Maybe it's like trimming subscription fat because we all have
Yeah. Oh yeah.
untold amounts of money in subscriptions that are just ridiculous. You don't need them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
maybe you need to go a little bare bones, and really dial in your marketing, for any business that's starting out, or maybe they just can't afford to do, lead generation. Join your chamber of commerce, right?
Yeah.
That's your marketing costs, right? Um, but there's so many opportunities to market without spending a whole bunch of money. But once you can spend that money, you should spend it because
Yeah.
it'll streamline the process. You'll get better customers. It'll just make your life so much easier for you. But in the short term, it's going to be hard.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. A lot of wisdom in there. So be willing to spend as much as possible, as much as you can realistically afford to get the
Mhm.
high quality customer.
You
That's
have to say
unbelievable.
that though.
What's that?
You have to say as much as you can realistically afford.
That was my caveat as the
Yeah,
CFO.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Here's one for you, Asa. Do paid ads work?
I knew it was coming.
Specifically for the service-based business, do they work in bringing in quality clients?
We can make this a sales pitch right now. Um, they do. And so I'll give you a case study.
Okay.
I was working with a CMS, which is a content management system.
Okay.
Their products sold anywhere from 300,000 or 100,000 to multi-million dollar contracts.
Okay. Wow.
Paid ads will work as much as you are willing to work with them. You cannot expect great results if you are not putting great data back into the machine. Things like Google Ads. I'll just stick with Google Ads because that's what I know. Google Ads is a machine. It learns, it finds out what you are putting into it, and it finds you more of those people. If you're putting crappy data input into it, you're going to get crappy results out of it. If you are just focusing on front end metrics, such as a form fill or a phone call, instead of this person closed, we have revenue attached to it. This phone call was a really great phone call, and there's a high potential it's going to close. You want to send that data back into Google Ads for it to learn off of. Because if you're just tracking every form or every call, that's not going to actually do anything. It's
Yeah.
just going to get more random calls. It's because Google's going to try and get the fastest conversions for you, right? It's going to
Yeah.
get you as many phone calls as it can. Half of them are going to be from Pakistan, right? And
Yeah.
you know, you have to put good data into it. So I built, or I shouldn't say I built, we built as a team, me and the business. We built a strategy using SEO in coordination with Google Ads, LinkedIn, and we told them you need to redesign your website. Here are some key things you need to have on your website. They took care of SEO, LinkedIn, and their website all in-house. And we managed their Google Ads. With $226,000 in a little less than a year, we built a $63 million opportunity pipeline. So not just leads. These were people that had conversations, had a quote, and we built that pipeline for them. And they closed about 50% of them. So
Wow. That's
that's
awesome.
that's a huge, huge win, right? And they spent $226,000. It's like, okay, we're doing well, right?
Yeah.
So paid ads does work. I'll give you this caveat. If you are looking for quick wins, if you're looking for, I need my complete mess of an account and a business to take off tomorrow, paid ads is not a magic bullet. It'll amplify whatever you currently have doing or going for you, right? If your product only sells to friends and family, you probably don't have a business. You probably have very kind friends and family.
Sure.
If you could walk into a room with a total stranger and say, hey, here's my product, here's my 60-second elevator pitch, and they say, wow, I want to know more, you know you have a product that can sell to anyone, right? Um,
Yeah.
that way, you can actually confidently put money in paid ads or Google ads or whatever, and know that if I use the same pitch, I use the same offer, there's a likelihood that I'll get some people coming in. If I don't know that kind of information, I just dump $10,000 into Google Ads a month, and all I have ever lived off of is repeat and referrals, then I don't know what my return's going to be.
Yeah.
It might just make things worse, right?
Sure.
Because you're dealing with uh, people who don't know you, right?
Yeah.
That's a huge difference between um, referrals, because referrals have trust built into them already. Uh, Repeats, they already have trust. Paid ads, you're talking to somebody who does not trust you. They probably are coming in a little suspicious. They probably are a little concerned that they're going to get scammed because there's so much out there on the internet. It's like you can start a business today if you wanted to.
Yeah.
They don't know. So you have to be really good about your sales system. You need to call them immediately. You need to have people who are there taking care of them, who are building rapport all through the sales cycle, so that when it comes to the final call, you're not spending 30 minutes still trying to convince them to trust you. They already trust you because they've already been in contact with you. They know the person's name that first called them, and the person who called them knows the client's name, right?
Yeah.
Those things are important to make paid ads work. Once again, sales and marketing are intrinsically tied. They cannot be separated. So you have to have a solid system in place for these people that don't trust you initially to get them to trust you.
So your marketing strategy, how you determine your marketing strategy, that sounds like a big thing you also need to understand is the structure of your company,
Yeah.
both your
Yeah.
sales side and
What's your
your
capacity?
capacity to
Yeah.
take on new clients if it's a service-based
Yeah.
company.
I'll give you an example. I have an IT company that I was talking to, and to onboard a client, one client is incredibly time consuming for them, like 3 months.
Wow.
And they're
Yeah.
not huge, right? They don't have 8 million people running around doing all this stuff, right?
Right.
They have like a team of like 30 or 40. So they can't grow too fast, but they can't not grow, right?
Right.
And those are the two things that will kill a business: growing too fast that you can't keep up and you just screw everyone over, or you grow too slow and you don't make money, right?
Yeah.
So marketing strategy for them, I would not say dump $10,000 into Google Ads, because they have a good service. They can sell to anyone. They're incredible. Their marketing director is like top tier salesperson. Like she's amazing. Uh, when you are looking at a business like that, you can't just be like, yeah, dump 10,000 into Google Ads and you'll get 1 million conversions. And they're like, but we don't want 1 million conversions, right? This
Yeah.
is a lot of work.
I can
But
understand that.
but there are other ways of going about this.
Right.
There are slower methods. Start top of funnel. You know, start targeting companies who are interested in in IT services and do mailers, right? Seems so anti everything 2025, but mailers are actually a huge thing right now because it's personal, right? Going to networking events, going to ribbon cuttings, going to these things where people can meet you, they can see your smile, they can see that you're not like just some robot on the other side of a screen like us right now.
Right.
um, but they can actually get to know you in person, and they feel comfortable around you. Those are
Yeah.
so important to have those personal touches. uh, and it's slow, but it's sustainable. And as you grow, you can start making things a little bit more scalable. I would argue, though, stay as far away from the assembly line model as possible for any small business, because it's it'll burn you because somebody else can do it too. You got to
Right.
find the things that AI can't do, or somebody else can't replicate, which, just honestly, a smile is your best sales tool. If you
Yeah.
can smile at somebody and make them feel something, right? You can make them feel comfortable and like they want to open up, right? That is huge. If you take that away and you just automate it, you lost your unique selling point, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No.
marketing strategy.
Yeah. This
Learn
is
to smile.
this has been just a wealth of knowledge for anybody who's been listening. So appreciate it. Asa, where can people reach out to you at? What are you what's next for you?
Yeah. Well, people can find me at Shipwright. That's WRIGHT, consultinggroup.com. They can find me on LinkedIn under Asa Naselli. Um, what's next for us? Oh man, we are in the middle of product development for something very exciting that is
Nice.
in the beta. If anybody's interested in learning more, it is a cheaper alternative to marketing for those exact situations where they don't want to grow too fast, they don't want to grow too small, or it's too slow, and they just want to get their name out there. And we are finding some pretty sweet results with this. So if anyone wants to learn more, they can reach out to me about it. Maybe we'll put them on the beta. But if anybody's looking for Google Ads, SEO, website design, anything like that, social media, they can reach out to me on Shipwright Consulting Group, and we'll get back to them.
Awesome. Well, appreciate it, Asa. And yeah, excited to continue this conversation and
Yeah.
check in a little bit.
Yeah. Thanks for the therapy session.